Welcome everyone to Savvy Alien. It is tax season, and we know that for non-resident aliens, everything is a bit just more complicated. I'm going to show you today how to do your taxes using the 1040-NR EC form. The first thing I want to make clear is that if you're a non-resident alien, you cannot e-file. You cannot use software such as TurboTax. And this is very important. You have to fill out the forms and physically mail it to the IRS. We're going to use 4 documents during this video. You can download these forms yourselves. You can just type in Google the name of the form, and usually it's the first thing that will appear. Just make sure that it's a form for 2015. The first form is 1040-NR EC. On top of the form, you can also see a link where you can download this form directly. The second document are the instructions for the form 1040-NR EC. The third document is Form 8843, and the last document, and this you're going to get from your employer, is your Form W-2. The first thing we need to do is determine if you're a resident alien or a non-resident alien. This information is from the 2015 instructions, and you can always come back to this document if you have any questions. It is important to mention that there is a difference between immigration law and tax law. This information right here is only for tax purposes, and things are going to be different if you're a resident alien or if you're a non-resident alien. This doesn't affect in any way your immigration status, so please consider that. There are 2 tests that you have to do to see if you're a non-resident or a resident alien. The first test is a green card test. If you have a green card, you'll be considered a US citizen for tax purposes. So you can stop this video and go ahead and do a traditional tax return. The second test is a substantial presence test. You'll be considered a US resident if you meet this test. You'll meet this test if you were physically in the United States for at least 31 days during 2015, 183 days during 2015, 2014, and 2013. And you can use the following chart. A, you can see the years. Column B, you'll write down the physical days you were in the US. And column C is the multiplying number. So you'll multiply these columns by column C, and in D, you'll get the number of days. You'll add this number of days. And if it's more than 183, you meet this test, and you will be considered US residents for tax purposes. Unless you are an exempt individual. So this is important. Even if you meet this test, there are exempt individuals. And by exempt, we mean that you will not count those days. The most common exempt individuals are over here. If you were a teacher, a trainee, or a student under a J, Q, F, or M visa, you are an exempt individual and those days don't count. Therefore, you are a non-resident alien for tax purposes. If you're a teacher or a trainee with a J visa, you'll be an exempt individual for the first 2 years. If you are a student on an F or on a J visa, you will be an exempt individual for the first 5 years. If you are an exempt individual, you need to fill out Form 8843. On the top, you'll fill out your information. In part 1, you'll fill out information about your visa and your current status in the US. If you are a teacher or a trainee, you will fill out part 2. If you're a student, you will fill out part 3. We'll now head over to our Form 1040-NR EC. On the top, you'll write all your personal information and tax ID information. You'll select your filing status, and then you'll see numbers. If you have any questions about these numbers, you can always go back to the instructions. So number 3, that is where you put in your wages, salaries, tips, etc. And this you're going to get from your W-2 form. So if we go to your W-2 form, you have 2 boxes here that we're going to mention. Number 1, your wages, tips, and other compensations. And number 2, your federal income tax withheld. So we're going to take the information on box number 1 and put it in number 3. For this exercise, we're going to assume that this person made $15,400, and that's everything that he made. So we'll write here $15,400, true cents. We'll bring it down to number 7, 15,400. No scholarships, no student loans. So we'll bring it down. No itemized deductions. And then we'll get to exemption. And it says see instructions. So we'll head over to instructions and see what this is all about. We go to the instructions and we find the instructions for line 13, where it says exemption deduction. For this year, you can take an exemption of 4,000. So we go ahead and write 4,000 in line 13. Instruction 14 says subtract line 13 from 12. So we go ahead, 15,400 minus 4,000, it's 11,400 cents. So this number is your taxable income. Now, number 15 says tax. Find your tax in the tax table in the instructions. So we will go back to instructions with this number in mind. If you go to the instructions, you will find these tables and you'll see the different ranges for salaries. So we are looking for 11,000, 9,000. Here we are. We look for our range, 11,400, and we find it. And we see that between 11,400 and 11,450, the tax is $1,253. We bring that number over to line 15, 1,253, no cents. We bring it down to number 17. Now, number 18A says federal income tax withheld from form W-2. We'll go back to your form W-2, and in box number 2, you'll find your federal income tax withheld. For this exercise, we're going to assume they withheld $2,000. This is going to be different for every one of you. Again, this is just for teaching purposes. So we'll write 2,000. We'll bring it down to 21, 2,000. In number 22, you're going to subtract line 17 from line 21. So in this case, we're going to have $747. This is the amount you overpaid, and this is the amount you're going to get refunded. Over here, you can put your routing number and account number if you want a direct deposit. If not, you can just cross it out and it will be mailed to you. If it's an address outside the United States, you can put it down here. Then at the bottom, you'll find a space for your signature, the date, your occupation, and you're ready to go. In the real world, you will probably get whole numbers and you can round them up. In the instructions, it clearly states how to do it. If it's an amount under 50 cents, you go down. If it's between 50 and 99 cents, you go up to the next dollar. For example, 139 becomes 1 and 250 becomes 3. So once you have everything ready, where are you supposed to file it? There are two options, if you're enclosing a payment or if you're not. If you're not enclosing a payment, use this address. If you're enclosing a payment, use the one on the bottom. So you're ready to file. What do you need to file? Form 1040 NREC, completed and signed. Form 8843, and a copy of your W-2. If you have any questions or if you have a more complicated case, feel free to post your questions in this video or go to our blog, SavvyAlien.com. I hope it helps. Good luck and see you soon.